Can you see us?
I can't, no.
All right, everyone, this is Kayleen McCabe.
Hi! Oh, I'm so excited to get to come in and chat with you folks today. Hooray, technology. So while you folks are still figuring out the Skype thing, I'm just going to start chatting and sharing what's up. So I am Kayleen McCabe. I'm a contractor out of Denver, Colorado. I focus the majority of my career in residential construction with a primary focus on restoration of older homes because I love the math and the construction of older homes. It makes me insanely happy. Oh, it's back in the day when they actually had real 2x4s in the walls, not 1.5 inches and 3.5 inches. And I love what I do. I thoroughly enjoy the fact that I'm able to go in and help people with the most expensive investment that they'll ever have. And it makes me happy too that every day I get to go into a different job site and work with my hands and create what I believe is pieces of art. So when working in construction, it took me a while to realize that everybody who is in this trade or any trade is actually an artist. And it's true because you look at what's behind walls and how things are constructed and the attention of detail that goes into the lines that a plumber runs or the wires that an electrician puts together. It is done with such precision and care that truthfully, I always feel bad when it comes time to drywall a space because I'm covering up all this beautiful artwork of framing and all of the HVAC and plumbing and electric work. But just to rewind a little bit, because I think it's valuable to share, I did not discover the opportunity of construction until I was in my 20s. I had actually gone through quite a bit of different adventures. And rewinding all the way back to high school, I was put on sort of a leadership track and definitely college focused. I started taking the SATs and ACTs when I was in 7th or 8th grade. So definitely of a college mindset early on. But when it came time for graduation, my guidance counselor asked, where do you want to go to college? What do you want to major in? What's your plan? And I realized that I didn't really want to go to college. My dream job was to be Indiana Jones because I think that's the best career ever. And you get to travel around the world and find artifacts and then teach things. And the reality is that being Indiana Jones is not a real career. And I did go to college for 1 semester, but I ditched a ton. And to this day, I have 0 college credits, none at all. Or maybe I have 1 for the class that I think I showed up to twice. But my success and pathway for a career did not involve college. And that took a long time to settle with. In fact, for a lot of years, I was embarrassed to tell people that I did not have any college education. But when I started to think about it, I realized that working in construction and the career path that I had picked and fallen in love with so much so still provided for me education. I was learning all the skills, but it was contained on the job site. Which realistically, look, I could spend a half an hour right now. We could chat all day long about how to swing a hammer, but until you're actually on the job site and learn how gravity works and how to use your body with these tools, bookwork is not going to do anything. It's all about all the job training and practicing and learning these skills and the muscle memory that comes along with working in your trade. I mean, right now, I know exactly that usually my pencil sits in this pocket, my tape measure is over here, I can grab my square. And that just comes from years of practice on the job. So I was blessed that I was able to express my craft and this love for construction on DIY Network's Rescue Renovation, where I spent 5 seasons helping out homeowners finish projects where they thought like, oh, we could do this. And then years later, they were still in a demolition zone or halfway finished with the project. And I was able to come in with my crew and teach homeowners and kind of explain to them that, yeah, there are projects that you can do yourself. Absolutely. Look, as you all start to buy houses and do your own things, yes, you can switch out your light switches and your plugs and change your wax ring on your toilet at least every 10 years. That's my big contractor push because I've seen some gross damage. But a lot of times homeowners and still the public had an impression that if you were working in this industry, that you were lesser than. Because for so long we have said over and over and over again that the pathway to success includes that 4-year degree. That if you don't have that, that there's no possibility that you could be successful. And if you choose to work in this industry, well, you know, you're doing it because maybe you're not smart enough to go to school, or you can't afford to do it. And in the process of doing rescue renovation, I learned that that is a lie. It's totally a lie. Right now, we're living in a society where the trades are valued. In fact, we are so desperate to find more folks to come join us. Like, ladies, oh my gosh, I want to work with you all. You have no idea. And we need everybody. And people are willing to pay big dollars for this. And it's not a career for the others. It's a career for everybody. And in reality, I love what I do. In fact, if I don't make sawdust every few days, I get depressed. Because it's like, oh, my hands are too clean. What have I created? My mindset and my brain is satiated and happy when at the end of the day, I can say, I built this. This is what I did. You can visually see what my efforts would put towards. Where now, some days, I have to answer emails all day. And it frustrates me because my laptop looks one way. I open it. I answer a bunch of emails. I close it. The laptop looks the same. Hasn't changed at all. And that to me doesn't make me happy. So it was a pleasure to really realize that there was a need, that somebody else needed to stand up and say, I love what I do. I love construction. It's a great career. And when season 5 was starting to wrap up with rescue renovation, we were having a hard time hiring plumbers. And I started to think about it. And it's like, where are all the plumbers at? I'm on a television show that is the most successful of the network. We had a great budget. I fed lunch and breakfast and dinner every day. We played with new tools. Where can I find contractors? This is embarrassing. And I realized that even now, still in high school area or past that, people are saying that the only pathway to success is one way. And so at the end of season 5, I made a conscious decision to take a break from the show. So I'm on permanent hiatus while I follow my next passion, which is talking to students, encouraging them, letting them know that there are careers out there beyond. Obviously, my jam is in construction. I love construction because also the power tools are really good. But I should have been a welder. I should learn welding. In fact, everybody, we should learn welding. We should all learn automotive because we're going to operate vehicles. And these are skills that are wanted right now and needed across the country. If you have a skill set in the trades, can you work with your hands? Can you show up on time every day? Can you be active and present on the job site, ask questions, be involved? Those are skills that employers right now are willing to pay big, big dollars for. And a lot of times the education that you will need to continue in this could be at low cost or no cost. Oh my gosh, I constantly regret that I don't have any welding certificates. Do you know how often I would put that to use? I have a Jeep Wrangler that is tricked out. I like to off-road in Colorado. I launch that thing into the air constantly and break that Jeep all the time. And I'm lucky that I know how to work on it and put it back together. It saved me a bunch of money. But on the other side, it's also made me a better consumer because I do have a vehicle that's new and I don't know how to work on the new cars. The level of technology, I don't know electric stuff. It's not my jam. And I, with confidence now, can take my vehicle into a dealership and know that I'm not being taken advantage of, that I am getting the product and services that I want. And if I'm being sold something else that isn't true, I actually had a mechanic once tell me that I need to have my bearings re-leveled, which that is not a thing that is a thing anywhere. And I was a better consumer because I took my vehicle from that shop, took it to another shop, and spent my money wisely. And so these are life skills, not just outside of career opportunities. And I am so excited that all of you are taking advantage of learning an amazing craft because, oh my gosh. Okay, so side note. So when I started to take a break from shooting the TV show and I started to travel, and I started to realize that the new statistics are saying that your generation will have multiple careers. You won't go into one career and stay there for 45 years. You'll probably have 5 or 6. Now, here's where the benefit is at. If you're involved in any sort of trade, those skills can go to any other trade. And when I say that there are thousands of different trades, I truly mean that. For an example, to build a house, it takes 27 different trades. Now, that's just in a residential construction. If you start to look at commercial and industrial construction, where they're doing bridge work and creating factories, this is thousands of different jobs. But then you look at, the reality is if you work in construction and are trained, and let's say one day I wake up and I'm allergic to sawdust, like, oh, please knock on wood, I hope that never happens. I believe with confidence that I could work as a plumber, an electrician, an auto mechanic, in aviation, because the skills that employers want are, can you work with your hands? Can you interpret the directions and then actually produce something? And that's universal. And so you're already practicing it, and you are set up for a level of success that is so much higher by being involved in a program like this. So, oh my, I'm going to break out into hives. I'm so excited. Hang on. I'm just trying to figure this out. Okay, there, now I'm back. So please, everyone, I really want to encourage you that there are multiple pathways to success. And in the grand scheme of things, if you go into the trades and you hate it, you will probably be making an hourly wage that is so high that if you want to go back for a post-secondary degree at a university or a community college, you can just pay for it. You don't have to take out loans and go into debt for your education, which not having that debt over your head will make you free. So it is absolutely fantastic. And I'm thrilled for everyone. And I wish I was there eating pizza and hanging out, having salad, although I don't eat salad because I'm not an adult. I just like the pizza part. It's better. Oh, it's so wonderful to get to see you folks. Ladies, you have no idea. Okay, thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate it a ton. All right, but now let me give my other chat, guys.
Okay.
I have worked in male-dominated industries my entire career. At one point, I was an 911 dispatcher, and then I went into construction, so it's all dudes, right? Which is fine. I'm an only child, and I have been blessed now to work with some great men who I consider my brothers. But right now, the country is specifically seeking you ladies. Specifically. And the reason is because the industry has realized that there's a benefit to have women in construction. One great example is welding companies are specifically seeking out women. Think of it this way. We as ladies look at everything here. Sometimes I take a sharp pencil and like put it up against my eyes and try to do that cat eye thing. I can never do it right. Some ladies can. Okay, so if you have the skills to take something sharp and put it up against your eye and draw a straight line, why aren't you welding? Why aren't you a welder? Like, it's the same thing, only right now I'm meeting students who just came out of programs with their certifications in welding who are making almost $100,000 a year. And believe me, you can draw these straight lines. I give mad props to anybody who's in cosmetology. I had to glue my eyelashes on once, and I don't know if you all know, but eyelashes have a direction, and there's like short ones and then long ones. I glued them on backwards and with like the long eyelashes on the inside, and I looked like an insane Muppet. So I have respect for cosmetology, but the reality is that the industry is seeking women because our temperament and our attention to detail. And so it's not just welding. We're looking at heavy machine operation, crane operators, things that normally you would think, okay, you need a big burly guy to do this. But the industry is learning that if you have a bunch of machinery, and when I say machinery, I'm talking like mining equipment, those trucks for a mine. I mean, the tires are like how tall I am. That's usually a $10 million piece of machinery. And they have found that over time, the women who operate those vehicles are actually costing the company less money, because if the vehicle breaks down, more often than not, a female is going to say, something's wrong with this vehicle, let's get it fixed and then move on. Where sometimes they found the male employees are like, I got this. I'm going to keep using the machinery until I need to be done with my shift. And now you're out a piece of machinery that costs $10 million. So ladies, Do not be intimidated by the fact that for a long time this is a male-dominated industry. It is no longer. The industry is so desperate for people. Are you breathing? That's the requirement. We want you. That's it. We can take care of anything else. So please, please explore everything and do not get discouraged. In any job field you go into, you're going to have bad days. People who sit in offices, in air conditioning and recycled air have bad days. It happens in any industry, but oh, gross. I want to like pull my nose hairs out with needle nose pliers thinking of a career where I had to sit at a desk and I don't work that way. I need to be outside, goofing off, creating things and being a part of, I like being a part of someone's life. I like helping people. That's really what it comes down to. And being able to help people with the most expensive investment that they will ever have, I have found such reward and happiness. And I still bounce out of bed, excited to get to go to work. It hasn't worn off yet. I thought at some point I'd be like, I've been in the industry like pushing 20 years. I'm over it. Nonsense. In fact, it gets even worse. And I'm to the point now where I have to learn welding and I want to take actually classes to learn other stuff. I want to focus now in commercial and industrial construction because, whoa, the opportunity is there and the reality for solid careers is huge. And so, oh, ladies, I'm sending you all a virtual high five. I'd hug you all if I was there and then eat pizza. But since not, I'm screen high fiving. And I would love to answer. Right? Thank you very much in the back. I appreciate it. I would love to answer some questions or advice because, listen, now we're all friends, right? This is how it happens. Hi, ladies, we're all friends. Please know that you have me as a resource. I am your biggest cheerleader. And after this, I'm sure my contact information, you can find it. It's Kayleen McCabe at Gmail, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Contact me. I want to support you and cheer you on because there are crummy days. There are days that aren't going to go your way and they're going to stink. But I want to cheer you on and know that forever and ever, you have me in your corner cheering you on. So contact me. I want to hear your adventures. I want to answer your questions. And yeah, I want to help you take over the world. That's, yeah, and build it.
All right, ladies, who has questions? Hi.
Hi.
If you want to start your own business based on your trade, what would be the best option or advice you can give us?
Starting your own business is very hard. In fact, right now I'm having a tough time encouraging students to go into residential construction businesses on their own because that is a volatile industry. So, and this goes for everybody. If you're starting your own business or if you want to be a contractor, you need to have the mindset that you are a freelance artist and that money comes and goes. And so, especially with having your own business, you need to be prepared for the roller coaster. And that means when times are great and you're rocking and you have more business than you know what to do with, you still save your money because in this industry forever, there'll be a downturn. So save your pennies because when this times get slow, you'll be smart enough to have saved and sustain your company longer. And so that's true. And then if you're going to start your own business, please do continuous education for your employees. The industry right now is changing on a level that's astronomically fast. I used to go to a job site and bring blueprints, like an architect, like big sheets of paper blueprints. No more. I actually now can take those blueprints, put it into a CAD program like AutoCAD or SketchUp. And now when I go visit clients, I have them put on virtual reality glasses and look around their space in 3D. So if you have your own company, you need to make sure that you're still continuing to educate your employees and yourself for the rest of your life. And then call me because I'm going to support your company. Yeah.
And then my second question was, what's the best option to connect with other people? Like say if you want to do an interview or you want to write a book, for example, to you, how do you think that should, like, a good way to connect to people, to find other women in trade? Is there like a website or a app or something that is going on?
Yeah, so NAWIC is the National Association of Women in Construction. That's a national organization, and they do conferences. They actually participate too in a conference. It's every year called Women Build Nations. And last year was in Seattle. This year, I can't remember, but it was amazing. It was the best time ever. I got to hang out with like thousands of other women who are in all sorts of different trades. So position yourself to attend conferences like that, because that's really right now the best place to network. And then join organizations. You know, NAWIC is an option. There's also Oregon Tradeswomen. While they're based in Oregon, I joined, you know, because it's another network and a group. So I think online right now, there are some great organizations, probably even in New Jersey area, that you could also be a part of. Let's see. Beyond that, it does get kind of tough because there aren't many of us, right? Women in the industry right now, we represent between 2 and 5%. So it sort of varies, but 5%, I mean, come on. We're like 51% of the population. So this is like way too low. But it just might take a minute. There are other organizations that do have a lot of fantastic female leadership. NARI, the National Association of the Remodeling Industry, focuses on females. NCCER, which is a curriculum component, also has females. But another great thing is when you find your trade focused and you go start to apply for jobs and start to meet companies, connect with the women who are there. There are usually solid, fantastic females in most companies now, and they will also provide for you a great resource with better local options too. So yeah, you're gonna have to keep your eyes open. You're gonna have to Google search some stuff, because that solid, broad network of like ladies in the trades doesn't quite exist yet.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome. Good luck. I cannot wait to hear what your company is. Like, ooh, I send you a high five.
Hi, I'm not sure.
Hi.
I wanted to know, at any given point, did you want to give up? And if there was the case, what motivated you to bounce back from those thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, good. Yes, totally. Oh my gosh, there were absolutely days. I can think of one moment specifically that pops out. I worked with a male contractor who didn't like me, and that was apparent. And so we didn't like each other. I'm also a person, how to put this? In confrontational situations, there's like fight or flight. I'm fight or fight. I don't have a flight mode tapped in. So I'm crazy stubborn, and I think that's probably where it comes from. But I had done a basement all in tile, and I left, and I came back the next morning, and this male contractor was down in the basement stepping on my tiles, specifically ruining them. He didn't expect I was going to be there an hour early and catch him doing this. And he was like, I was straightening out those crooked tiles. They became crooked. Tiles that are flat on the ground don't move. So they were fine when I left, you know. And that really discouraged me. It was rough because I was supposed to be part of a team and a family. And now one of my family members basically just like picked his nose on my job, right? And that, it was like, do I want to be doing this? Do I want to fight like this to do something that I love so much? Is it worth it? And I took some time off. I took about a week off because it was like, I don't want this kind of drama. I love to work. I love it more than anything. I don't want the drama, right? I don't want like water cooler drama or gossip. It's not my jam. And after I took some time off and a breather, I realized, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to be doing. And I don't care about other people's opinion of me. And that was it. And then the reality too is I started to look at my paychecks and realized these are pretty solid. Like I make good money. In fact, listen, I've made way more money in construction than I ever did in television. Television is pointless. No, they paid me free lunch a lot, which is great. Yay, food. But anyway, yeah, and you will. You're gonna have moments when you want to give up. You are going to argue with a project one time, and like you're gonna fight this project. Here's the lesson I learned. Take a deep breath. Step away for a second. Don't work mad. if you work in construction angry, you have to think we're artists, right? And so take a deep breath and let it go and realize you're gonna work with people, and this is in any industry, who you don't like. They're just dickheads. That's just who they are. And that happens anywhere, right? But if you love what you do and you satiate it and you feed that love, you will be able to overcome anything. And those bad days will just be a thing that happened, and then you get over it. And so, yeah, you're going to have bad days and you're going to get discouraged and you're going to want to quit, but stick through it and stick with it, please, because everybody loses. Everybody falls down. The successful people are the ones who keep getting up and keep going back. And the reality is that because you are female in this industry, you have a higher percentage of success opportunities. And so don't give up. And really, if you become frustrated and want to give up, realize maybe there's another trade that you could go to and continue your work. And so, yeah, it'll happen. But that's where also call me and I'll tell you dirty jokes and make you laugh, and then you get over it, right? Oh, that's an awesome question.
My name is Dr. Robinson. I'm in building maintenance, the second phase. I was wondering, what do you suggest, like, my next step be after this particular program to become, successful, to take those steps and become a successful woman in the trade?
That's a great question. And this goes for everybody. Start out at the bottom. Start at the bottom and realize that you're going to have certificates and degrees that might say you're qualified to do something. Start at the bottom, because if you show up on every time and you are hungry and you're active, you're going to be promoted naturally and go to the top. Now, you will become the best boss and the best leader possible if you worked your way up, because then when you get to the top, you know what everybody's job is. And you know how to be a great leader because you've done all that work. And believe me, that has paid off in spades. I once had a kid who worked for me in construction. He was like, I can't do that. And I was like, yes, you can, because I did it and I did it way faster. So chop, chop, and I only gained that experience because I started off at the bottom and worked my way up. So always ask questions. Network. Do not be intimidated to talk to your people around you that you work with. Even if it's a bunch of men, they love you. They might not know it or express it, but they do, and they appreciate you, and they want to teach you, and they want to pass on all these little nuggets of knowledge that they've learned. So start off at the bottom, be humble and ask questions, and you will become a very, very successful leader, business owner in this business. And that broad range too, because here, oh my gosh, okay, side tangent. The reality is when you work on a project like building maintenance, you are dealing with a whole host of trades. Walking onto a job site, I don't walk onto a job site and just hang out with other framers. I'm there with electricians and plumbers and drywallers. And so, especially in your industry and the pathway you're picking, you're going to have exposure to so many different trades and opportunities. So make sure you keep your eyes open, make your ears a sponge, and ingest all of that, because you might hear something one day you're like, I want to do that instead. Like, that's cool. And you've already met the people. So yeah, always be hungry, always. And know, like, oh my gosh, I still learn every single day. There is not a day that I go to work where I don't come away being like, I didn't know that. Learned something new today. So yeah, that's definitely my advice. And then too, you can call me. We'll hang out. Like, yeah.
Kayleen, I know as well when I first met you, you had talked about some of the funny stories from when you did rescue restoration. Can you share some of them with us? And also, can you tell them where you started out first with trading spaces and what you ended up doing there first?
Oh yeah, so rewind a little bit of my career history. My autobiography is going to be weird. I was a mad scientist for a while. I was a call-in psychic for a while. And then I was a 911 dispatcher. And I took some calls where I needed a break. And my cousin happened to be a producer for Trading Spaces, the original one forever ago. And she said, hey, take some vacation time. Come hang out. We're going to pay you $100 a day. You're going to be production assistant. I got lucky enough to not only be a production assistant, which was a grunt. It's the lowest of the low. Talk about starting out the bottom. Like, you're a peon, like coffee, and then I'd run go coffee. But outside of the times when I was getting lunch for everybody, I got to work in construction world. And so trading spaces, I'm sure you all know, don't believe anything you see on television, right? It's all edited. Trading spaces make it look like there's like two neighbors hanging out with like a host and a designer, and then they do stuff. Well, if you were to see the whole set, there's 80 people behind the scenes making this happen. And so there was actually a whole sewing world where they made all the fabric stuff. There was carpentry world. There's craft services world, which craft services, what we call catering and television. And so I got to work in carpentry world. And okay, so my first day, I was asked to work on a table, and they just wanted me to stand it so it could be painted. But I had a bit of construction opportunities when I was younger, working with my dad, and I sanded it down and we stained it. And Frank Belcastro, he was the manager of carpentry world, and Frank had like a permanent scowl. He was like furrowed brow, and he had a big bushy mustache that was permanently stained with like cigarette smoke, and he'd walk around all day and like, the producers, man, they're awful. And then he came over to me and he saw my table and he's like, that's pretty nice. You want to work with me? And I was like, I love it. And what I was so excited about is when I was a dispatcher, I was making 6 figures, but my alarm would go off in the morning and I would just keep hitting snooze and be like, yeah, I like my job, but I don't want to go. Like, ugh. Okay. And then I started to work for Trading Spaces, and I had to be at set at 5:30 in the morning. I was bouncing out of bed at 4 a.m. And then at the end of the day, we'd wrap up set around 11 o'clock or midnight. And I was so sad to leave. I was like, oh, I didn't play enough. I didn't finish the cabinet I was working on or whatever. And that's when I realized this is love. This is the love that I've been seeking. I love what I get to do and create. And I was very, very blessed that I got to do that with Trading Spaces because it was insanity. I have glued things onto walls that I regret. I feel bad for those folks. My bad. But that was really the first spark when I realized that it didn't matter what I was making, that the money wasn't the driving factor for me. It was the fact that I got to spend the hours that I wanted to in a way that made me insanely happy. And that made me feel as rich as like somebody who just won the Powerball. I mean, it was a blessing and I loved it more than anything. And I stuck in television for a few years. But the reality is that in TV, television shows don't shoot all year long. It's like for a few months and they go on hiatus and they come back. And I was finding that I was having to look for another show to work on every few months. And I hated television. It was really the construction side that sparked me. And oh, ladies, I love it. I call it my reverse French manicure, where underneath my nails is like black and then on top is white. And I'm like, I earned that. Like, I did this on purpose. And so it made me outrageously happy and danced all the time. And I feel very, very lucky because the blessing that I had with Frank is I felt safe to fail. And in this industry, failure is a part of our learning. Look, if you're working in small engine repair and you have a lawnmower that doesn't work, and then you work on it and it still doesn't work, you failed. You're failing, right? And then you work on it again, you get to run. It's a success. And so he gave me the opportunity to fail, and that is what taught me things. The first time I put together a cabinet, it was not square, it was gross. It looked like modern art. It was so out of whack. And he gave me the opportunity to fail and then took the time to explain to me where I went wrong and guide me to a successful cabinet the next time. So do not be afraid of failing. And this is tough, ladies, believe me, I know, because if you're on a job site and you already stick out because you're the only one like you hanging around, the last thing you want to do is fail in front of people. That's embarrassing, nobody wants to do it, but be okay with it because that's how you learn things. It is an okay and an acceptable and encouraged process of learning the industry. Now, if I kept making unsquare cabinets over and over and over again, I clearly wasn't like learning anything. So learn from those failures. But yeah, Frank was a blessing in disguise. And I hope that all of you get to find a mentor in your career path at some point in your career journey, because having that opportunity to fail, to be vulnerable, and then to ask questions and be encouraged to go on, for me was an amazing gift. And Debbie, that was a two-part question, and I rambled on with one half of it, and I totally
Yes,
forgot.
the other half of the question was, I know you shared funny stories when you were
Oh my
with
gosh.
restoration.
Oh, right. How much time do we have? Listen, ladies, oh my word. Okay. It really got to the point where I thought my crew was giving homeowners money to say dumb stuff. I'm not joking. I walked in. Okay. You all know an I-beam, right? An I-beam is a steel beam in the shape of the letter I. Pretty apparent. I-beams are used when you want to span distances that are really long and you don't want to lose the head height. Because let's say if you have a 2x4 in wood, you can go, well, let's say 4 feet before it needs to be supported. A 2x6, you can go 6 feet, a 2x8, blah, blah. When you start to span distances of like over 12 feet, that means you have a 12-inch beam. And so a lot of times people go to steel because you can span those 12 feet with a much, much smaller beam. So I had a homeowner. They called us. They were like, come help us out. So I went into the house and I walked into the kitchen. And the first question I asked was, are we here to remodel the kitchen? And they were like, no, why do you think that? Now, what I had seen when I walked in is every single door on the cabinets in the kitchen had been cut with the sliver out of the bottom. So there was something happening. Well, what had happened is the homeowner took out a load-bearing wall in the basement. Okay. He then made the right decision to put in an I-beam to span it. But the homeowner decided that the letter H sounded stronger than the letter I, and he mounted the I-beam in the shape of the letter H. And I was literally like, who paid you to say something that dumb? It's called an I-beam. And he was dead serious. And what was happening is when you turn an I-beam to a letter H, it's no longer structurally sound. And this, oh my gosh, they would have parties up in the kitchen. They would put a chalk line on the H beam down the basement, and they would see if they could get enough people upstairs to actually bend the beam, and they would see how much they could bend it. They had kids. I was like, do I call social services too? No. Oh my gosh. So that was one where I realized that in our community as a whole, people don't value the trades like they should, and realize that there is a lot of skill and thought and knowledge and training and all these things that go into it, where fine, you're a homeowner, cool, you can go pick up what you want. And it was just sad for me to see over and over again homeowners doing the most disastrous work on their most expensive investment. And I'll tell you what, my goal in life, beyond promoting all you ladies to go get amazing careers, I want Home Depot and Lowe's to put like a tag on their sledgehammers that say, do you know what you're doing after you're done using this sledgehammer? And if the answer is maybe or no, you don't get a sledgehammer. That's just how it works. Because look, if you're doing demo with the sledgehammer, like on all the TV shows, I would give homeowners sledgehammers all the time. And the reason was so I could tire them out and they would get out of my way. And like, nobody does demo where we kick through a wall. That is ridiculous and dumb. So yeah, oh my gosh, let's see. I have stories galore, believe me. I did 100 episodes. And one of the reasons that I wanted to go on hiatus is because season 5 was cranking out some of the most disastrous projects I had ever seen. I didn't even know that people were capable of being that destructive in their own house. And I thought when I started the show that people would tune in and be like, huh, there's a knowledgeable lady telling us to hire professionals. And they came around to season 5 and nobody had watched or listened to me saying that. And I had people calling me being like, we just ripped apart our house. Can you come rescue us? I was like, no, that's not the point. This is not how it's supposed to work. So yeah, I mean, there was one space I walked into where the homeowner was in line in front of me at a coffee shop, and he was wearing sweatpants, and oh, sorry, it's my mom's phone. Shh. Sorry, my bad. So the guy is in front of me wearing sweatpants. One leg is fine. The other leg is covered in drywall dust. And that's 5:30 in the morning. So I was like, hey, I'll buy you a cup of coffee if you tell me what happened. And the guy was like, oh, My wife and I have an old house. In the upstairs area, we had a bathroom, but the floor has always been really squishy or wobbly. Those aren't construction terms. I don't know what they meant. So he was like, so my wife and I decided we were going to rip up the floor and fix it. Well, this morning I got up to go to the bathroom. I forgot that we had torn out the floor and I fell into my kitchen. And I was like, he wanted to eat your life so bad. Take me to your house. Please let me buy you both a cup of coffee. So I went into his house. And I go up into his attic. And before I was talking about like 2x4s, blah, blah, blah. I walked into this attic space with 2x6s on 24-inch centers, spanning 35 feet with one break in the center. No wonder your floor was squishy. Like, oh, that's so under-supported. Oh. So I asked the homeowner, I was like, if you hadn't have met me, what were you going to do to help this out? And the guy looked at me straight-faced, deadpan, and he goes, oh, my wife and I decided that we were going to help even out the house. So we're going to put a cast iron clawfoot tub on one side and our washer and dryer on the other side. And I was like, honey, you cannot pick up a clawfoot tub and your wife. You are not linebackers. Like, that's not going to happen. But if they had done that, they would have completely ruined their house. The house would have come down. And if they hadn't have found me, I put almost $200,000 into that house. I ended up going down to the basement, put in helical piers, and then created a continuous load path up into the attic, where then, because I'm a TV show, I did put in a clawfoot tub and a washer and dryer and like tricked it out all belief. But if they hadn't have met me, the reality is the value of their house and the work it would take to make it happen would have overvalued the house in the market. And they were under in the house. They would have never been able to sell it or make a profit. They would have had basically this giant house anchor around their necks forever. And so that one blew me away the most too, because I was like, you have no idea. You just ripped apart a can of worms and then tap danced on it and think you're just gonna like go fishing with those worms and everything will be fine. And I was like, no, hire people. One last point that I just want to pass on. Please continue to learn forever. I work with great engineers and architects, but my better architect, I work with 3. One of them spent his time during vacations actually learning how gravity works. And so, hang on just a second. Sorry. It's Friday party time here down in Florida. So the reality is that the better architects are the ones who continued their education and learned how gravity worked in real life. And so you might find in your career that you might need to continue your education and find other pathways. And please do that. But on-the-job training is so valuable. It's the bee's knees because, oh, come on. I mean, you get to learn and get dirty at the same time. It's the best. So, yeah. And honestly, I could go on with stories. I have 100 episodes that I did. People do the dumbest things I've ever seen in a house. But the H-beam, for me, always sticks in my mind because it's called an I-beam. Like, anyways, so. Oh, Debbie, thank you so much for prompting me to tell those stories.
Wrap it up. Does anybody else, one last question? No? We good? Although, okay, one last question, Kayleen. One last question. I was going to ask you if you have the light box that you had converted into your pocketbook.
Oh, I did not. So here, just side note, I live in Colorado normally, but it's gross and cold. So I packed up a few days ago and went to Florida, and it's kind of a vacation. So I didn't really pack any of my tools, but all my purses are old toolboxes. And you can actually go on my Facebook page, and I did a Facebook Live where I gave a tour of my purses. So yeah, being a lady in construction is the bee's knees. I'll tell you what, we get to bring fashion into the industry and a sense of style the guys are just jealous of. Anyway. Oh, what is your question?
Yes. I just wanted to know what was your proudest moment in the trade?
Oh, this is a good one. Okay. So I was in an outdoor space and we were doing landscaping and the homeowners wanted a pergola. And the pergola space, the diameter of the pergola top was almost 40 feet in diameter. Now, I don't like heights. So I made a compromise with my crew and I said, I want to build this pergola top up the mountain in the homeowner's driveway where it's flat. And then I'm going to separately sink the posts for this top. And all my contractors were like, you can't do it. You can't measure. You're going to fail, blah, 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 because landscaping is very hard. Obviously, nothing's flat, nothing's square. You have to make it what you want. And I had to set 6 posts on a hill to hold this top. And they gave me shit for it the whole time. And I was stubborn. I was like, no, we're doing it this way. And so we rented a crane to actually pick up this pergola top that I had made. And everyone was like, oh, I heard the guys were like, it's probably gonna fall apart or move. Or the crane picked it up, and it was like a movie. It was like rainy and gross that day. And as soon as we had this rig tied to the crane, it's like the clouds parted, the wind stopped, the sun came out. It's like, oh. And we picked this top up, and I know because it was silent, it didn't even creak. It didn't move, nothing. And the crane picked it up and flew it over to all these posts that I had set, and it fit perfectly. Perfectly. I wasn't even a quarter or an 1/8 inch off. It was 100% on. And it was one of those like, I'm fabulous. I can measure and do things you don't even know. And that had to have been it, because I pushed for what I wanted. I knew I could do it. I had haters who doubted me the whole time, but I knew in my heart that I could pull it off. And just having one of those moments where I was like, I did do it. What do you got? That was absolutely it. Yeah, thanks for the questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're done? Everybody good? Okay, because we got to let it go, unfortunately. Kayleen, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I love you all. I think you're awesome. And, I'm going to take the stairs out of here, so.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, ding. I took the elevator back up. Yeah. Oh, please, you all have the best rest of your week. And ladies, I'm not joking about it. You call me. You can go on my website. My direct number is there. Call, text, email. We're now friends, and I'm supporting you. So, seriously, I love you all. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Bye. I don't know how to turn it off, though, from the elevator. See you later.